The TriColor Cowl is the perfect project to use those 50-gram fingering weight skeins or leftovers. Changing colors every other row while creating the stitch pattern creates a fun fabric that doesn't have any ends to weave in until the piece is done. The final edging will hide all of the yarn that is carried up the sides. While I use 2 solids and a matching variegated, you can match any combination of colors from variegated to speckled and even a gradient to make this cowl a spectacular piece you will wear with everything. What will you choose? Let's get started. Okay, before we get started with the TriColor Cowl, I wanted to show you all of the supplies that you're going to need. Now, I want to show you first that this is the original cowl, and I used the same brand of yarn as I'm going to show you here. This was a one-of-a-kind set of colors, so I don't have any left over with this, so I bought some new yarns from the same dyer. This is Nanette Wake Studio, so if you're interested in using some of her colors, they're perfect. These are 50-gram hanks of yarn instead of a full 100 grams. These are fingering weight yarn, and I have 3 different colors, and this time I chose some bright colors because I really wanted the videos to pop. So I'm going to be making a second cowl with these colors. You're going to need fingering weight, and you're going to need at least 218 yards per hank. That's why I recommend hers. I'll put a link to her website in the show notes for this video, but I wanted to show you these are the colors I'm going to be using. And then, as always, I always have a hook, a crochet hook recommended in the pattern. I use a size E as in Edward, which is a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. As always, that is my recommended hook. That doesn't mean you have to use that hook. But this is the hook that I use to get the gauge in the pattern. So I would start there. And if you are too loose, I'd go down a hook size or 2. If you're too tight, you would want to go up a hook size or 2. But you're going to need a crochet hook. You're also going to need scissors to cut the yarns. What's really cool about this particular pattern is that you don't have to cut the colors until you're done with crocheting the cowl. So I will show you how that all works when we get to the how-to part. But at some point you are going to have to cut. So you're going to need those. And you're going to need a tapestry needle. Oops. And I use the bent tip steel needles. These are my favorites. I recommend that you don't use plastic because plastic tends to have ridges from the molding and they can sometimes snag your fabric. And they're also very pliable, so they bend. These don't bend, and that can also distort your stitches as well. So I recommend steel needles. They don't have to have the bent tip, but that's what I like to use. So those are all the tools and supplies you're going to need. You may need a stitch marker if you have trouble, or 2 stitch markers if you have trouble on the ends of working rows of losing stitches. But I'm going to show you how not to have to need them. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the next video. Okay, so now I've wound up the yarn and I've decided the order I'm going to use the yarn. The pink is color A, blue is color B, and green is color C. So this is how I'm going to use it, and we're going to be using a technique called the ABC technique, which means you're going to do 1 row of each color, so A, B, C, and then you'll go back to A, B, C. But this technique works in a way that you do not have to cut the yarn, and I'll show you that as we go. But I'm going to start with row 1. I'm going to go ahead and move the other 2 colors out of the way. And the pattern asks you to chain 62, and that's what I've done. You really don't want to use the foundation stitches for this first row because it's going to throw everything off. So you definitely want to start with a chain. And then we're going to go right into row 1. So row 1 says single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So we're going to skip the first chain, and I use the back bumps You can crochet through the front of the chain, but I always use the back bumps. So I'm going to skip the first one and I'm going to go through the back bump of the second one and just do a single crochet. So you can see that I've done that right here. Bring it a little closer. Then it says chain 1, skip next chain, single crochet in the next chain. So we're just going to do that. So now you can see, I'm going to grab some yarn here so there's not so much flopping of the skein here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now you can see as I'm bringing this up closer, there's a single crochet, there's a chain 1, and then there's a single crochet. So now you're just going to repeat chain 1, skip 1, single crochet in the next. I'm going to do a few of these on camera. 2. There we go. Okay, so I've done like 5 single crochets with chain 1 spaces between them. If you stretch this out a little bit, you can see these bigger holes. That's where we did the skipping. That's going to be important for row 2. So what you're going to do is you're going to continue across chain 1, skip 1, single crochet in the next stitch, and then chain 1, skip 1, single crochet in the next, all the way to the end of the row. When you get to the end of the row, we'll come back and I'll show you row 2. Okay, first you can probably tell by the color of my nails and the length of this chain that I had to re-record the beginning of row 2, and that's because the original file got corrupted and it was unusable. So I'm redoing this with what's left over of my yarn. So the way this is going to work is even though I only have 15 stitches here, it's still enough to show you how to get started with row 2, and then I will continue with the actual footage of the end of row 2 with the actual sized cowl. So bear with me on this, I apologize. Okay, so you'll see that I am about to complete the last single crochet on this row. Now we're going to be changing colors at the end of this row to color B. Color B is the blue. So in order to add the new color, we have to finish the last crochet with the new color. So I'm going to grab the tail here and we're going to finish that single crochet with the last loop through with the color blue. Okay, so I'm going to leave color A here just hanging because I will need to pick it up later, and I don't want to cut it, so I'm not going to have a whole lot of ends. So I'm going to go ahead and go on to row 2 now. So with the blue, the first thing we want to do is chain through 3 and turn, 2 and 3 and turn, and then it says, and now it says to double crochet in the first chain 1 space. So if you look right here, we ended with a single crochet. So here's the first chain 1 space. You can see the hole that I'm forming right there. We're just going to do a double crochet right into that hole. There we go. And so now that chain 3 and the double crochet actually count as the first double crochet 2 together. Just know that for future reference. Okay. Now we're going to chain 1 and we're going to double crochet 2 together. And the way we do that from this point forward is we're going to yarn over. We're going to insert into the same chain 1 space that we did the last double crochet in, yarn over, pull through 2. And then we're going to do the second leg of the double crochet 2 together in the next chain 1 space. So we're going to skip this single and we're going to go right to the chain 1 space right there. Yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through 3. And that gives you the first double crochet 2 together. Then we're going to chain 1, we're going to do that again. Yarn over, insert into the same chain 1 space as we did the last leg of the previous stitch. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, go into the next chain 1 space. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 3. And now you're going to continue to do that. You're going to chain 1 and do another double crochet decrease, making sure that you always have the first leg in the same stitch that you just or in the same space that you just ended in. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And go ahead and continue all the way to the end, and I'll show you how to end this row and then how to begin row 3. Okay, now you can see that I've almost completed row 2, but you just have to do the very last stitch, and I just wanted to show how that's done. I've started the first leg of the double crochet 2 together, but the pattern tells you the very last stitch you should yarn over and put your second leg in this last single crochet, because there's no space there at the end. So I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2. Before I yarn over and pull through 3, I want to show you here, first of all, that I'm in that last stitch right there. And now I'm going to change color. So I'm going to change color to color C, which is the green. And I'm going to pull a little yarn here. There we go. So to change to color 3, we just yarn over and pull through those 3 loops at the end. And then you just adjust. And I always pull the tail of the new color a little bit just so that I have enough to weave in ends later on. And we're done with row 2. So now we're going to do row 3 with color C. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. And before we start working, I just want to remind everybody there should be chain 1 spaces between the double crochets, and that's where we're going to be working today in most of this. Okay, so for row 3, we chain 1 and turn. We single crochet in the first stitch. And then we're going to single crochet in the first chain 1 space. That's to set us up. So I'm going to put a close up here now that I've done those 2 stitches. You can see I put 1 in the single crochet at the end of the row and 1 in that first chain 1 space. Now you're going to chain 1 and you're going to single crochet in the next chain 1 space. So it's very similar to row 1 with the exception of you have 2 single crochets at the beginning right next to each other with no space in them, and then 2 single crochets at the end with no space between them. So I'm going to go ahead and just do this all the way across. Before I go though, I want to show you how we've got the single crochets in the spaces between the double crochet 2 together, and it's really, because we're using fingering weight, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a chain 1 space here in between each one of those single crochets. So I'm going to go all the way to the end and then we'll start row 4. Okay, you can kind of see now that I am almost finished with row 3. I have my last chain 1 single crochet in the last space, and then you want to add that last stitch in the top of the turning chain of the previous row. So I'm going to just insert my hook here and then yarn over and pull through a loop. So now we're going to drop color C. So what I do, I'm going to switch it to the other side of the work, and we're at color A, you'll notice, is laying right here at the edge of the row. So we're going to grab color A. Sometimes you have to untangle your yarns like I'm going to have to do right here. Once you start going, you'll understand where all your yarns are, and you'll be able to automatically untangle them really quickly as you're working. But for right now, because I'm showing the video, I am not taking super much care of how I am switching my yarns. But I'm picking up color A. You can see it's still attached. I'm going to yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. I'm going to pull the green a little bit here so that it's a little tighter, and that's how I add the yarn. So now row 4. Row 4, we're going to chain 3 and turn, just like we did for row 2. So now you'll notice instead of a single crochet row, we're doing a double crochet 2 together row, which starts with a chain 3. Okay, so we're going to start with a beginning double crochet 2 together, which is different than the regular double crochet 2 together. So for this one, we're going to yarn over. We're going to insert into the next single, which is the second single there. Remember, we had 2 at the end of the row. So we yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and there's 2 loops on your hook. Then we're going to go to the next single, the chain 1 space right there. And we're going to yarn over and insert into that chain 1 space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. And what that beginning double crochet 2 together does is it creates the double crochet 2 together, which we see right here, but the chain 3 that we added at the beginning is going to create a double crochet all by itself. So what's going to happen on this row, what makes it different from row 2, is that you're going to have this chain 3 on this end, and on this end you're going to have an extra double crochet that just sits there. So now we're going to work this row exactly from this point forward like row 2, except for the very end. So we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to do a double crochet 2 together with the first leg in the same space as the last leg of the previous one. And then the next leg goes into the next chain 1 space, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you do this row all the way across until you get to the very end, and we'll come back with the video and I'll show you how to end it. Be right back. Okay, so now you can see I've almost finished with row 4. And the last part of this this row I wanted to show you before we switch colors. So we're going to start the first leg in the same stitch that we did before, and then we're going to yarn over and we're going to go into the last double crochet of the row right here, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. And now remember that we had that chain 3 at the beginning of this row, and that gives you an extra double over here. So when you get to the end of the row, we have to do one more double crochet. So yarn over into the same stitch as that first leg is in, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2. We're going to drop color A, and when I switch color A, you'll see that color B and the tail of color C are tangled. There we go. We're going to pick up color B, which is right here, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops of that final double crochet. So you can see now I'm ready to chain and turn. So now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1 and turn for row 5. Chain 1 and turn. And once you've turned, you want to make sure when it gets a little bit bigger, it's easier not to get tangled too. Right now I'm getting tangled up in the colors that are hanging there. But you can see now that color B has a strand right here on the side, and that's going to be normal. That's going to be covered when we do the seaming and the crochet around the top and the bottom. So row 5, you chain 1 and turn. You're going to single crochet in the first stitch, just like row 2 or row 1 was. Then you're going to chain 1, and we're going to follow exactly what we did for row 1. Skip over the double crochet 2 together, and we're going to single crochet in the next chain 1 space. Chain 1, and then go and single crochet in the next chain 1 space. And we're going to do that all the way across. And when I get to the end of the row, we're going to talk about what happens next. Okay, we're at the end of row 5, and I'm going to do my last single crochet in the top of the turning chain here from the previous row. And I am going to drop color B, and I'm going to add color C. And I just need to grab that and yarn over and pull through. And you can see that sometimes those loops get a little big, and that's okay, but I can tighten them up really fast. So now the next, after row 5, it says rows 6 through 87. You're going to repeat rows 2 through 5 20 times, then row 2 and 3 once more. Okay, and then at the end of row 87, you can cut, and then we'll go to the next video. So row 6 is actually going to be the same as row 2, which is the double crochet decrease row here in the blue. Then row 7 is going to be the same as the green single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. And then row 8 is going to be the same as row 4, which is the double crochet 2 together with the extra doubles on either side. And then row 9 is going to be the same as this blue row that I just did, which is the same as row 1. So you're just repeating 4 rows, but because we're using 3 colors, you'll notice that this is already alternating from blue to pink, and now I'm going to have the double crochet decrease row in the green. So it's going to give you this nice cool pattern that you couldn't see as much in this very monochromatic group of 3 colors. So that's one of the other reasons why I chose some bright colors to show you. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this first section, which is crocheting up to row 87. Now, one thing I should tell you too is that if you would like a deeper cowl, meaning that it is wider than what the original is, the original is, I believe it's, let's see, 24 inches circumference. If you want like maybe 30-inch circumference so it hangs down lower, you just keep repeating these rows. If you want it shorter than 24, maybe you want to do something smaller, do less rows than the 87. But I'm going to do the 87. I'm also going to, when I finish it, I'm going to weave in all the tails and I'm going to block it. And then when I come back, I'll show you the next steps about seaming and how to do the edging. So have fun with this, and I'll see you in the next video.